So normally I upload my movie reviews over to my second channel, World of Geekdom. That's where my movie reviews and video game stuff and wrestling stuff goes. But because this is Godzilla, King of the Monsters from 2019, and here on Geekdom 101, the anime channel, you know, they have that Japanese link, and I've noticed a lot of people who grew up with anime also love Godzilla. I figure, why not put this review here on Geekdom 101 so everybody can check it out. So I did go see Godzilla, King of the Monsters today, the movie that is the sequel to the 2014 Godzilla directed by Gareth Edwards, and the third movie in the Legendary Pictures Godzilla Monsterverse film series, whatever. Now, this movie, interestingly enough, I've been looking forward to this movie for a very long time because I did grow up a big fan of Godzilla, and I mean, I grew up with the rubber suits, and yeah, they look cheesy and very dated, but I'm always going to have warm feelings of nostalgia for those old Godzilla films. Me personally, I am a huge fan of the 80s and 90s era of Godzilla from Japan, the Toho films, not the Roland Emmerich 98 American movie, the Japanese ones, because those had a perfect mix of like practical effects and CGI, and I thought they looked great. This movie, we're going to talk about both the good and the bad here, because I really did like this movie, and I see that critics have been giving it a lot of crap. It's not a perfect movie by any means. There are issues with the film, which I want to get into here in a minute, but man, the thing about this film is if you are a fan of Godzilla, if you are a fan of the Toho Godzilla, then you're going to appreciate a lot of things that they did with this movie, because there's a lot of Easter eggs, homages. This movie, Godzilla King of the Monsters, feels the most like a Japanese Toho Godzilla film that was not produced in Japan. Obviously, it was directed by Michael Dougherty, who's a great filmmaker in his own right. He made a film called Trick or Treat in '07, a really, really good little comedy / horror film, you know, years ago, and this is like a big budget project for him. He's worked on other movies in the past too, like Krampus. He helped out with X-Men Apocalypse. This is a big deal for him. But Godzilla, it's funny because in all the promotion for this film, they barely showed the actors in this movie. Obviously, Ken Watanabe is back from the last Godzilla film, but I was shocked to see how many actors, like pretty well-known actors too, that are in this film that I didn't even know were in it based on the trailers and whatnot. We knew about some characters like Vera Farmiga. Obviously, Kyle Chandler's the main character of the film. Essentially, he is. It's him and Vera Farmiga. But I did not even know that Sally Hawkins had such a big role in this film. Same thing with Ice Cube's son. So that was interesting. Now, the big criticism that I've seen about this movie is that the human characters there's no human story. Okay, here's the thing about this film. I'm going to lay it out right now. If you are not a fan of Godzilla, you're probably not going to like this movie. And there's very good reasons as to why. If you are a fan of Godzilla, I think you will like it. You may not love it like you did some of the classic films in the genre, but it certainly is a lot better than 2014's Godzilla, which I felt had way too many bait and switches. The movie just went at a snail's pace. I am not a fan of the 2014 Godzilla, but that being said, the way he killed the Muto at the end of that movie was amazing. One of the best kills in Godzilla film history. So that's got that going for it. But this movie definitely has more monster action. And really, let's be real here. We're paying our ticket. We are going to see this movie to see the monsters fight. This is Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And if you saw the trailer, you know that Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah are in this film. And there's so many little tiny homages to previous incarnations of these characters, especially Ghidorah. I was shocked when they referred to King Ghidorah by his other name, which I'm not going to say. If you're a fan, you know. If you're not a fan, you might not know. I don't want to spoil it for anybody and actually give it away, but that was kind of cool. Things like that made the movie cool. And there were some things in the movie, again, the issue with it is that it is very CGI heavy, and the CGI is very hit or miss. Every scene that I saw with the monsters is all CGI. And the issue is sometimes it looks great. Some of the close-up shots I think look really, really good detail. But some other shots, like when, you know, there's this one scene where they kind of show Ghidorah, like all three of his heads right at the screen, and it looks really, really fake. Like it's like they're moving the camera while his heads move. It just doesn't look very good at all. I don't think the eyes of us have been able to really fall for the CGI trick, if you know what I mean. Like, we as human beings, we can tell instinctivally if something is CGI. Now, obviously, movies made nowadays look way better than the ones that were made 15, 20 years ago when CGI was kind of a new thing, but, well, somewhat of a new thing. But the issue with this movie is that even though the rubber monsters might be too tacky for 2019 standards, it still seemed a bit more realistic, especially the 80s one that had more prosthetic kind of costumes and looked really, really good. So that is one thing you have to be aware of. Now, that being said, the monster fights in this movie, they're good. You're going to get a lot more fights in this one than you did in the previous Godzilla film, which gave us almost nothing. But the problem is it wasn't enough for me. Like, based on the promotion of this film, it was all about the monsters, very little about the humans, and the movie does spend too much time on the humans. Now, it focuses on one family, specifically one family and the people that are affected by this family who have this, without spoiling it, they have this somewhat connection to Godzilla based on what happened in the first film that we didn't really see. But the characters from the first movie do not come back in this one at all. It's about a totally different family. And also they have a connection with Monarch, of course, being the Earth's, like, defense force against the monsters or whatever the case is. But the issue is that even though I did enjoy the characters, the writing, especially Dr. Emma Russell's writing, I thought was subpar, honestly. And the reality is, when I go back and watch this movie, I'm probably going to focus strictly on the monster stuff as opposed to like when the Blu-ray comes out, as opposed to like watching all the human stuff. But it is better than the last Godzilla film, don't get me wrong. The human stuff is better, it's just it took up too much time. Like, the first entire act of the film, the first like 30 minutes or so, it's just all about the humans and kind of building up these characters. And throughout the majority of the film, they are building up this big final battle that takes place at the end of the film with all the monsters. I mean, that's not really a spoiler. You kind of knew that was going to be the case going in. So they focus so much on the humans, but just when you think the film's about to shift over to the monsters, which it does kind of do, we go back to the human story. And I just felt like it was by the time we got to about like 3/4 the way through the movie, I'm like, okay, hurry it up. Because there's stuff in this movie they could have easily edited out. It's over 2 hours long. It's very bloated. There's times where I'm watching the movie and I'm like, okay, get on with it. Get on with it. Like, it really does go to a snail's pace, and I don't like that about the movie. Now, there are some interesting twists and turns that happen to the Godzilla character, to the characters, all of them, specifically Godzilla himself, but other characters as well, that I was not expecting. The movie, the best thing about the movie, the way it's structured is you have the human characters going from like location to location during the first half of the film, awakening the titans, so to speak. So you see, this monster, that monster, this monster. You of course see some recaps from the previous Godzilla film, and and then finally they all awaken. So I'm like, okay, the time has come, and then they go back to the humans, and this subplot that I thought was just, it wasn't bad, it just took too long. It's like you have this 30-minute subplot with Ken Watanabe and other characters trying to do something with, again, I'm not going to spoil it, do something with Godzilla that just took too long. It was so slow. They could have gone through this so much faster, and that is a problem with the movie. Now, every time they introduce a new monster, like when they show Ghidorah awakening, when they show Mothra awakening, Rodan, it's an epic freaking scene. It's epic. I never thought we'd actually see these monsters in a Western-made film. I thought it would only be the Japanese Toho Godzilla that would give us this, but they did it here, and it was effective. And there are certain music cues, I'm not going to spoil it, but there are certain music cues in this film that's going to freaking put a smile on your face if you are a longtime Godzilla fan. Again, if you're a fan of this franchise, you're going to like a lot of the stuff here, but I don't feel it was enough monster battles. I wanted more monster battles. The ending battle was cool, but I want it to be a little tiny bit longer. Shave off the human stuff, give us more monsters, and I think it would have been a better movie. But it's not a bad movie at all. I didn't think this movie was bad. People are crapping on it. It does kind of have a bit of the Roland Emmerich kind of feel to it. Not the 98 Godzilla Roland Emmerich feel, but more so like the Day After Tomorrow thing, where it's got this whole catastrophic, like, post-apocalyptic gimmick going, because these monsters, these titans, are literally crushing the earth with their power, which is very grand and huge. And there are some really beautiful shots in this movie. I mean, Michael Dougherty knows how to set up great, like, epic shots that you could, like, freeze and put them on a wall or paint it. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. But I wanted more combat. I personally wanted more combat, and I thought this film was going to give it to us. But there are some teases for the future, and I'm not going to go into spoilers like I said before, but I have ideas of where they're going to go with the next film, which is going to be Godzilla vs. Kong. That's the fourth film in this MonsterVerse. So, because, Skull Island was the birth of Kong, so they're going to have them fight. They're doing the whole cinematic universe thing, the build up to it, which is great. I thought it was effective. So if you're a fan of kaiju, it's, again, there's some silly stuff here, there's some dumb stuff, but there are exciting stuff, exciting fights, exciting big imagery. I still don't think we have a great like Western Godzilla film, like, you know, American-made Godzilla film, but this is a good movie and a fun movie, especially for the fans. And again, if you don't love Godzilla, you might not like it as much as the fans do. And it definitely is something that does pay its respects to the Japanese Toho Godzilla. But that being said, the script in this movie, some of the dialogue with the humans is really bad. Like, but again, how many Godzilla films have come out where we actually care about the humans? Not very many. It's all about the monsters. They are why we are here. They are the draw of these films. Again, it's not getting a lot of good reviews, but it's because I think the wrong audience is watching this. The script is bad, like I said. It's got issues, but the humans being like characters that we can kind of relate to, you know what I mean? Like, we're supposed to be in their shoes. It doesn't effectively work here. It's been done better before. They're not that likable, especially with some of the choices they make in the film, some of the dumb choices they make in the film. And there's also one scene with a human character and Ghidorah where I just was like, come on. Like, it was kind of dumb. So there is dumb stuff in this movie, don't get me wrong. Stuff where you're like, all right, this is nonsense. But effectively speaking, I thought that it was fun. I had a good time. Not the best movie of the year, without question. Should you go out and see it? I don't want to take it away for Netflix or Redbox because this movie's meant to be seen on the big screen. So I'm just going to say this. If you're a fan of Godzilla, if you grew up with these movies, or if you at least have seen a lot of them and you enjoy kaiju monster battles, you'll probably like the movie. You'll probably like the film. You might not love it. Again, it's not a masterpiece by any means, but I had fun. That's it. Thanks for watching the review. And remember, check out World of Geekdom. I'll leave a link down below to that channel for my movie reviews. But for this time, it'll be on Geekdom 101. So, I love Godzilla. I don't know if y'all knew that, but I do. Maybe someday I'll do a whole video, well edited about Godzilla. Who knows? Anyways, love you guys. Have a great one, and I'll talk to you soon.